I bet all you baseball fans out there are pretty anxious about the MLB lockout to come to an end. It hasn't yet. In the meantime, it might surprise you to learn just how much history the game has right here in Portland, specifically African-American teams during segregation. Producer Kendall Swank has a look back in the KGW vault.
The early years of baseball are known to many historians. The first professional team was established in 1869, and less than a decade later, the first major league was formed. Just like the rest of society, it was mostly segregated outside of a few players crossing the so-called color line. By 1900, it was completely segregated.
What you had then was a network of all-black clubs, independent teams, traveling across the North, Midwest, sometimes on the West Coast as well.
One of these teams was the Portland Hubbard Giants. The team was managed and owned by player Horace Llewellyn Hubbard in the early 1910s. It was common these teams would go by several different names, and it was also during this period where teams were barnstorming across the country. It was not only a way to play the game and to make money, it helped grow fan bases in different parts of the country. Outside of some newspaper articles and a few images, there's little known about the Hubbard Giants and its owner. That's because formal statistics and records were poorly kept, but some of the stars of the game stood out, like Jimmy Claxton.
By all accounts, just a spectacular athlete and baseball player, known for being a pitcher, also a very good hitter, and played for, essentially for just about 30 years. He's most well known because he's the first black player to appear on a baseball card.
Baseball collector and writer Dave Eskenazi has spent years learning about African-American baseball teams in the Pacific Northwest. While he specializes in Seattle sports history, his research and collecting has given him a knowledge of how the game was played around the region.
And, there's varying degrees of quality on those teams, just depending on the motivation of the people that organize the teams. If they wanted to have a really good team, they would, look far and wide to get the, players either in their region or, even get some ringers in there to play on the team. But, there was, good quality.
That level of quality baseball played a key role in helping black-owned businesses and communities survive and thrive during the 1900s and throughout the 1910s. It was also during this time that black Americans were moving across the country in massive numbers in what became known as the Great Migration. They helped establish cultural enclaves and neighborhoods, and there was a building of a small black middle class.
And they can support churches, they can support jazz clubs, entertainment, and they liked baseball. So you have enough fans, you have enough teams, and there was a push to form stronger league structures. And that's what
Dr. Raymond Doswell is the vice president of curatorial services for the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum in Kansas City, Missouri. He says all this led to the creation of the Negro National League in 1920 and others later on, which would only help African-American culture and businesses thrive even more. Traveling teams would stay in black-owned hotels, people leaving the park would dine in black-owned restaurants, and so on. It was shortly after the creation of the first Negro Leagues that Portland was also going crazy for baseball. Opening day in 1925 for the Portland Beavers was like a holiday.
Before the game, Rose Princesses frolicked in the raciest, most liberated outfits of the day, then presented Beaver ballplayers with roses and best wishes. Mayor George Baker threw out the first pitch, and just like that, baseball season in Portland was underway.
While Portland's white baseball team was celebrated between 1920 and 1950, it's safe to assume that talented black players from our area were heading to other parts of the country to play professionally in the Negro Leagues. They'd be going toe-to-toe with players like Josh Gibson, Satchel Paige, James Cool Papa Bell, and Smokey Joe Williams.
Teams developed a little bit more of an exciting style of play. Most accounts show that a lot of teams relied a lot on speed and base stealing and bunting, even though they had home run hitters and sluggers.
It wouldn't be until 1946 until Portland got its own official Negro League team, the Rosebuds. They were part of the short-lived West Coast Negro Baseball Association, and just like the Hubbard Giants, there's little to no historical information about them. What is known is they played at the same Vaughn Street Park as the Beavers, the team was owned by track star Jesse Owens, and several stars of other Negro League teams helped fill the roster. But the league fell apart in less than a year, and the Rosebuds finished with a disappointing 7-8 record. There are multiple reasons why the West Coast League failed, But it was all around the same time Major League Baseball began integrating black players into the game.
It was a very slow, steady process for baseball to be integrated. The Negro Leagues did not just disappear, and the economy supporting that did not disappear at all. But it was a slow decline, partly because of segregation. Teams were not quick to start scooping up black players. When Jackie Robinson entered the Dodgers, that was not the end of segregation and as a whole, and was a methodical, slow drip, if you will, for the integration of baseball as a whole.